Chapter 24. A most exciting time. As the children stood gloomily outside Silky's house, a voice called to them from further down. "Is that you, what's his name? Any news of our missing friends?" "That's the angry pixie," said Joe. "Let's go down to talk to him." The angry pixie was looking very miserable. "I can't understand all this mystery," he said. "I saw Silky and the others a few days ago, and then they suddenly disappear, like smoke without a cry or a yell. It's funny. We've been up into the land of tempers," said Franny, "but they're not there." "I thought of going up there to see," said the angry pixie, "but I was so afraid I'd lose my temper and have to stay there forever. You know what a temper I've got." "Yes," said Joe. "You certainly mustn't dream of going up there. You'd never come back." They sat there looking at one another, and then they all pricked up their ears. They could hear a very peculiar noise. Boom, 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 knock, knock, knock. Boom, boom, boom. "Whatever's that?" said Franny, looking all around. "And where is it coming from?" "I can't imagine," said the angry pixie. "I keep on hearing it. I heard it yesterday, and last night, and this morning. It just goes on and on." Everyone listened. The noise stopped, and then went on again. Boom, boom, boom. Knock, knock, knock. "Where does it come from?" said Beth. "From the inside of the tree," said What's-his-name, listening hard. "I'm sure of that." Do you possibly think that it might be Silky and the others, somewhere inside the tree?" said Franny suddenly. Boom, boom, boom. Knock, knock, knock. There it is again. "I believe Franny's right. I think Silky, Moonface, and the Saucepan Man are prisoners inside the slippery slip. Stamperlot must have pushed them down there, and then stuffed up the hole with all those things," said What's-his-name. "But they would have shot out of the trapdoor at the bottom," said Rick. "We'll go down and open it and see if anything has been put there to stuff that up too," said Joe. "Come on, everyone." So they all went down to the tree, to where the trapdoor was at the bottom. Joe opened it and looked inside, and then gave a shout. "This end is all stuffed up too. There's 2 horrible people from the land of tempers have got Silky and the others in there, I'm sure. Look, there's all kind of things stuffed in here. The poor thing can't get up or down. They're trapped." "Well, let's pull everything out and see and set them free," said Rick, and he tugged at a great ball of moss, but it wouldn't move. Everyone had a turn at tugging and pulling, but it was no use at all. Not a thing would move. "They've stuffed everything in and then put a spell on it to make it stay where it is," said Mr. What's-his-name. "At last, it's no good. We'll never be able to move a thing. Look, there's Lady Yellowround coming back from her shopping. We'll just see if we can make her do something about this." But that wasn't any good either. Lady Yellowround pretended that she didn't know anything about the stopped-up hole. "What's the good of shouting at me and asking me something I don't know anything about?" she said. "You go and ask old Stamperlot. He'll tell you what you want to know." "No, he won't," said Joe. "He's just a bigger fibber as you are." Anyway, no one wanted to see Stamperlot again. He was just a bad-tempered person. They all climbed back up to the angry pixie's house and sat down and looked gloomily at each other. Can't get in at the top of the slippery slip, and can't get in at the bottom, said Joe. How in the world can we rescue poor Silky and the others? It's simply dreadful. They'll be starving, said Franny, beginning to cry. Oh, Joe, do think of something. But nobody could think of anything at all. It was only when the woodpecker flew by to go to its hole in the tree that any ideas came, and then Joe jumped up with his eyes shining. I know, he cried. Let's ask the woodpecker to help us. But how could the bird help? Asked Rick. Well, a woodpecker pecks holes in wood to make its nest, said Joe. I've seen them pecking hard with their strong beaks. They'll make a kind of drumming noise, and can peck out quite a big hole in no time. If we asked him, I'm sure the woodpecker could peck a hole in the back of this room, right into the slippery slip, and then we could pull Silky, Moonface, and the saucepan man through the hole. Oh, that really does sound a marvellous idea, said Franny, beaming. Let's call him now. So they went outside onto the big branch of the faraway tree and called to the woodpecker. Woodpecker, come here a minute. The woodpecker stared around in surprise. He was cleaning his wing feathers by running each one carefully through his beak. He was a lovely bird with bright red splashed head. He spread his wings and flew down. What's the matter? He asked. Joe told him. The bird listened with his head on one side and his bright eyes shining. Do you think you could possibly help us to rescue Silky and the others by pecking a hole in the back of the angry pixie's house? Said Joe, when he came to the end of his story. You have such a strong beak. Yes, I know I have, said the woodpecker. The only thing is, I generally only peck rotten wood. That's easy to peck away. You know, it just falls to pieces. But good growing wood, like the trunk of the faraway tree, well, that's a different matter. That's very hard. Indeed, it would take me ages to peck a large hole through that. Oh dear, sighed Joe. I'm so disappointed. We daren't let Silky and the others stay in the slippery slip too long in case they starve to death. There's nothing to eat down there, you know. Whatever are we to do? Everybody thought hard. It was the woodpecker who had an idea first. I know, he said. I could fetch my cousins, who live in the enchanted wood in the other tree, and maybe, if there were 3 or 4 of us, all pecking hard together, we could make a good hole quite quickly. I know I couldn't make one by myself, without taking 2 or 3 days, but a lot of us working together might do it easily. Oh, good, cried everyone. Go and get your cousins. There's a dear. Hurry. The woodpecker flew off, and everyone waited impatiently. They heard the noises from the inside of the tree. Boom, boom, boom. Knock, knock, knock. Poor thing, said Beth, tears in her eyes. It must be so dreadful inside there, in the dark, with nothing to eat or drink. After about 10 minutes, the woodpecker came back, and with him he brought 5 others. They were all woodpeckers, with bright red splashed heads, strong-looking birds with powerful beaks. Oh, splendid, cried Joe, and he took them all into the angry pixie's little house. Peck away at the back here. The 6 birds stood in a row and began to peck as close to one another as they could. Peck, peck, peck. They pecked so hard and so very fast that they made a curious drumming noise that echoed through the little house. Zzz, zzz, zzz. They pecked hard for about an hour, and then stopped for a rest. Joe pressed close to see how they were getting on. To his joy he saw that a small hole had been pecked right through into the slippery slip. He asked the angry pixie for a torch and shone it through the hole. Yes, there was no doubt about it. The woodpeckers had gone right through the trunk of the tree. "Now you've only got to make the hole bigger," cried Joe happily. "Peck away, woodpeckers, peck away. You're doing marvellous."